There will be a
late.
Netflix documentary about this middle school season.
There will be.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Is
Yeah.
Gerald Riggs. Never heard of it.
Whoever Gerald Riggs
If
is.
that dude didn't play with leather helmets, I don't know. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a podcast for the ages for you. College football is back. We're hyped. The juice is real. The lunch table. Sit down. Get ready. Skylar, how are you doing, my brother?
Oh man. The return of football has me feeling rejuvenated, dude. NFL this week, college football
Oh,
week
Thursday
one
came.
last week. I mean, it's got me feeling great, man. We got middle school football debuting
That's what we're
tomorrow.
really excited about. Y'all play on Wednesdays. That's interesting.
It is. It's Wednesdays everywhere down here. Even the first school I was at, we played on Wednesdays too. So, and I don't know what it is.
It's not a lot of practice time for the during the week. It's kind of odd.
Yeah, it's definitely different. It's definitely different.
Yeah.
You got to prepare differently, but it's middle
Um,
school, like we've said. So,
yeah, God bless middle school football. I did my 3 seasons coaching that, and I couldn't do anymore. Had to step down. So more power to you, brother.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
it.
sorry to cut you off.
Oh,
I
you're
was going to
good.
ask, what are we projecting the middle school season to look like? Got the first game tomorrow. What's our total? Like, how many games do you have in the regular season? So, and then give me like an over under of wins.
So we're supposed to play 6 games. Our first one
All right,
got hurricaned out,
that's
and
tough.
so yeah, so we're down to 5 games right now, unless we reschedule, which we haven't heard anything about yet. And so I think best case scenario, we go probably 5-1,
Really,
or 4-1
4 and 1.
now. And
So,
then
I didn't realize we had a dominant force down there.
well, here's the thing. We're the biggest middle school in the county, right? And so our talent pool is, I mean, it's pretty good to pull from.
Okay. Okay.
So
So okay.
we're pretty deep. We got a lot of talent, and so if we can put it together, I mean, like I said, 4-1, I think is best case scenario. But with how unprepared we are due to, all the reasons I've mentioned before on the podcast, head coach having COVID and starting tryouts
There will be a
late.
Netflix documentary about this middle school season.
There will be.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, all that being considered, we're probably not as prepared as we need to be, but we're talented enough to figure it out anyway. So we'll see.
All right. What's y'all's mascot? What's the team name?
Wildcats.
All
We're
right,
the
baby. I'm riding the
Wildcats.
Wildcats. I'm riding the Wildcats all season long. I
Yes,
want
sir.
updates. I want to know who the stars are. Wildcats football is here. Y'all heard it here first. Let's ride.
Amen. Yes, sir.
Uh,
Official podcast
the official podcast of
of the
Wildcats football.
Wildcats.
Let's go. Oh
Yes,
God.
sir.
Well, we could talk about middle school football forever, but we're not
True.
going to. We'll spare you that. I'm actually going to keep talking about football, but I'm going to lead us in around the table. And Skylar, forgive me. I'm about to get a little probably pissed off here,
Oh, what we
but
got?
dude, the broadcast of football games now are miserable to watch. The amount of commercial time that you are getting in these football games is ridiculous. Not okay. So I always really liked in college how the clock stopped on first down. Like it made sense to me. Like it's not as like we're not pushing the offense as much in college football. All right, so now the clock's running because we want to shorten up games because last year the broadcast time was going over 4 hours. Oh no, we're gonna keep the clock running, but we're gonna run more commercials at the same time. So you're getting less football and more commercials in the same time periods. It's absolutely absurd, dude. I could not tell you how many times the other day you would have a score followed by a touchdown. Apologies, a score followed by a commercial, score
Commercial,
extra point.
right?
You would have the kickoff. The kickoff would get fielded and down, and then it would be immediately followed by another set of
Commercial.
commercials.
Yeah.
That happened in every single game multiple times. That is miserable. It's miserable.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree, man. Like we were watching the Georgia game with my family this weekend, And we all were complaining about that. We were like, man, these commercials are crazy. Like, and we turned on other games before that and said the same exact thing. So like,
Yeah, it's insane, bro. Because me and
yeah,
Carson in our setup down here, we can watch three TVs pretty much at once, and there are
right.
multiple times where all three games are on commercial break.
Commercials. That's insane. That's
Yeah, it's
insane.
like how am I supposed to like? They're making the viewing experience miserable, and I can't imagine. And I kind of can because I was at Georgia Arkansas last year. It was hot as hell, sitting right in the sun. There is nothing worse than going to a game and just baking in the sun and just during a TV timeout over and
Yeah.
over and over. Nothing's going on. Everybody's just sitting around doing nothing. It's so hot out there right now. So I can't even imagine being on these stadiums for 5 hours in this 100-degree heat index, just watching nothing happen. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I know. I know. It is ridiculous. I don't know. They got to fix it, man, because they're going to lose a lot of viewers at this rate, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would. I mean, it's getting tough to watch. It's almost to where you like want to just tune in to the one big game and just keep up with everything else through like phone, like through your phone. I mean, it's not enjoyable to watch.
I know. I know. It takes a lot of the fun out of it.
Yeah. And then another thing that happened this weekend that really just, and I know better, I really do, but I'm gonna like we don't. I know we don't do like buy or sell, but I'm selling something so hard right now, and that is golfing on a holiday. If you book around to golf on a holiday, and this is on me, I know better. Like if you're somebody that like you're not really there to crush beers and like hang out and party, don't play golf on a holiday. This shit is miserable, dude. Like you're out there for 6 hours standing around watching just hacks. And
Yeah.
I'm not a stick, but like at the same time you're watching this stuff and you're like, what are we doing out here, y'all? Y'all paid the money to do this? And oh, it's just so miserable. You're out there for 6 hours in the sun, standing around. You're not even golfing. We call it waiting at that point. And
Yeah.
I swear I will never play golf on a holiday again. Maybe like at 6 o'clock in the evening, I'll go out there for the evening round, but I will never do that to myself again. It's miserable.
Yeah. No, I've been there, done that. Never again if I can help it. It's terrible. It's
Yeah,
awful.
you're sitting in the car, and especially during these summer holidays when it's
Oh
already
my God.
90 plus degrees outside. Oh, it's infuriating.
It's
I'm pissed
horrible.
off. I'm pissed off talking about it.
Let's steer you back in here and we'll reverse topics to my round the table. And I didn't have much to talk about this week, but I do want to touch on, since a lot of the show we cover today is going to be college football relevant, but I do want to touch a little bit on something we're not probably going to talk about later, and that's Colorado. With the huge upset win, man. I mean, what a start to Dion's coaching career there. His boy at the quarterback played, I mean, as well as
Very
you can
impressive.
possibly
Very
play.
impressive.
Travis
Yeah.
Hunter might be the best player in college football.
If he's not a lock for the Heisman, I'll tell you this about Travis Hunter. We were keeping up with this throughout the game. I don't know what it was, like true pregame, but during the first quarter, after he made a couple plays, we checked his odds to win the Heisman. And it was at plus 30,000. Right now, 48 hours later, it's at plus 6,000.
Jeez.
That is how much better his odds have gotten in 2 days. Since in one game, he's become almost the favorite to win, if not the favorite. But it's like, when's the last time we saw a game like that on both sides of the ball?
I mean, I don't remember in our
Ever.
lifetime seeing one
Exactly.
like that.
It was amazing to watch. And the amount of stamina you have to do that, because I know a lot of the guys listening, like they played both ways in high school. And even at that level, like that's a lot of snaps of football. To do it at wide receiver and cornerback at the highest level of collegiate football all game is absurd. And then what really impresses me about Colorado is the juice, and it's not fake. Like I love that. Like I know a lot of people hate Dion for these sayings he has, and like we're here now, we come and we ain't coming because we're here, and like all this stuff. I love that. Like if you play football for a coach that loves the game and wants to be out there next to you, you know what that's like. And those kids know that their coach is riding and know that Dion would strap it up tomorrow if he could. And I think he might build a dynasty. It could definitely happen. I think people are going to want to go play for him and build something new out there, and we're going to see something exciting.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there's definitely a shot at that, and he showed glimpses of it on Saturday for sure. I mean, coming out and getting that win, it's it's big sign for things to come.
Let me get your thoughts on this. Do you think TCU was definitely a little overrated going into that game?
Yes and no. I would say their ranking at 17, I think it was, if they went into
Yep.
the game. I think that's about right. Now, do I
Which I
think
don't, as a team that just went to the national championship,
runner-ups, right?
ever been ranked that high or that low the following
Low.
season?
I don't know. I was wondering that the other day actually when I was watching the game.
I agree with that because my takeaway was this. And when you watch football games, you can see, like, okay, yes, their offense was really good, and Shadur Sanders can laser a ball, put it right where it needs to be, and they have weapons. But we have
Yeah,
to like my always thing is like, how good is TCU's defense?
that's
Like
true.
what am I comparing it to? And we've never expected them to be great. So like that kind of makes sense to me that Colorado would put up some points. But then
Yeah,
it was like, how good is TCU's offense to put up that many on Colorado? In which I'll
right.
give every team the benefit of the doubt in the first true week, like in a big game. Like your defense is not shored up. Like there's going to be some big plays. So that like it'll be kind of interesting to me to see how that develops down the season. Like defensively, they've got to be able to shore that up because they're not going to put up 40 plus every game.
Right.
Or they might. I don't know. They could be like true real deal, and I might eat my words right here. But who knows?
It's not
What are your
impossible.
predictions? What are your predictions on Colorado's season? Like total wins and where they end up. You think they make a New Year's Six bowl or be a little less than
Ah,
that?
man, it's kind of hard to tell. I haven't taken a close look at their schedule to be honest with you, but it I just knowing what Dion brings to that team and seeing what I saw on Saturday, I think there's definitely a good shot that they win 9, 10 games and that they can make a New Year's Six bowl even as one of
That's
those.
that's kind of what I think the expectation needs to be for them if they're going to live up to the hype.
Yeah,
Is New Year's Six. I think they got a gimme coming up this weekend with Nebraska. That Nebraska's program is awful, and I don't see when it's going to get better. So then they got a
agreed.
gimme. They're going to start 2-0, and they probably run it and route Nebraska. So we'll see some storylines after this weekend for sure.
Yeah, if they beat them, if they dominate Nebraska, then like that's gonna really show me something. Like I'm gonna be a big
Yeah,
believer in them.
if they put up more than 40 again and can hold Nebraska to 10 or less, I will be a true believer.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Well said. All right. I didn't really have much else to talk about in my round the table. We
Let's
already talked about the middle school football thing. So
Yeah, we got to hold off. We got a little something at the end of the show that we would do right now, but
yeah.
we got a little something at the end we're gonna give y'all. So don't worry about that.
Yes, we do.
And speaking of that, uh, we're gonna get our guest on for the day. Everybody's favorite, your host of trivia, Mr. Chandler Scott, is gonna make an appearance on the show, and he's actually gonna be featured in that end segment as well. So stay tuned, wait, because we have the Chandler Scott coming up next.
Yes, sir. All right. So we're gonna get Chandler on here in just a second. But I'm
Yeah.
very excited for trivia today and the bonus segment too. I don't want to reveal too much right now because want to save it, but I will give a hint that it is college football related, and a lot of our listeners will appreciate it. The
Oh,
segment that
absolutely.
we have planned. So I'm going to go ahead and get Chandler on now. So hopefully his trivia questions this week will be. I think last week was a pretty good difficulty. Like it
It was
was
a good, yeah. Like he
a
didn't
good
really
mix.
stomp us, but we had to work a little bit. We had one exceptional performance last week on the 500 home run club.
We did, or
S-
600, right?
600, correct.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was nice. It was nice to really show our knowledge at least once.
Oh yeah, no, I thought we did. I thought we did a good job with that.
Uh,
And here he is, the man
There he is. I
himself.
see him at the top of the screen coming in.
Oh yes, sir. Connecting to audio, all that good stuff. And there he is.
Oh yeah,
Oh
we're in.
yeah, yes
We're
sir.
in, baby.
Let's
We're
go.
in.
Got
Oh
the
Yes.
boy.
Braves. Look, I got the Braves.
Oh
Show
We
it
took
to
yes,
three
him,
out of
sir.
Chandler.
four.
Show
We
it to
took
him,
three out of
Chandler.
four on the Dodgers. I had to get the Braves
Champs,
going.
Oh yeah.
champs.
Had to. Had to.
So what you got for us this week, Chandler? We're excited.
Ooh.
I hope you got something we can show our prowess on again. I was excited last week.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel like y'all are gonna get 3 out of 5. That's my goal.
Okay, I like that.
There's one that's really difficult. I want
Okay,
y'all to get it, but it's not an easy question, to be honest.
All
right.
right. We can work with that.
But it's all football questions. College
Love
and
that.
NFL
Love
mix.
that.
Just had week 1 of the season. College football, fantasy football is right around the corner.
Oh, dude, it's
NFL,
2
I
days.
can't wait.
2
Oh, I can't wait.
days. Let's go.
I can't wait. All right, let's kick it off. A little college football question. So Colorado, we predicted it, Brody. Like
20-point spread.
I
Get
mean,
out of here.
I mean,
That was
you know.
ridiculous. Yeah.
So now they're in the top 25. But what year did they win their only national title? Put some air quotes around that because it's
Oh, so if you put it's a claimed national title, so that tells me it's
Yeah.
probably anywhere from like the 70s or 80s. That's a lot, or probably or prior to that. I want to say
a little older than that. Huh?
maybe.
Hey.
For some reason, when I think Colorado national championship, the first number that comes to my mind is 1957.
Oh, pretty far off.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Pretty far off.
Yeah. Our parents are probably like in college.
Oh.
So this is more what I was thinking in the first place, because I was also going to say something in the 90s originally.
Yeah, it's in the 90s.
All right, so that was my
Okay.
first guess, and then you had me really tripping on the claimed national title.
I'm gonna throw 91 out there.
Oh, not quite 91.
Oh,
So
So
90?
close.
90?
It's 90. It's 90.
Yeah. Look at
So-
All right,
that.
well, all right. I really wish I wouldn't have thrown that 50 ball guess out there, because
Yeah.
the 90s, I knew it was the mother effing 90s. So that's tough.
Yeah, so 1990, they went 11-1 and 1. They had a tie. Yeah. And then that was the year they had the 5th down game. That was them. It was Colorado.
Okay. There
So
you
it's
go. A little
like-
football knowledge.
Highly disputed national title. Georgia Tech wants it. Georgia Tech splits it with them.
That's right. Okay, that
That's
makes
right.
sense.
Which, crazy enough, Georgia Tech had a tie that year too. Like what? There's 2 different ties, and they're both
kinda
the split national champions.
That's
Kind of crazy, actually.
Yeah, that is insane.
Yeah, so just an interesting little fact. But to keep Georgia Tech away from a full national title,
That's always a good thing.
let them have it.
Cool.
Honestly, I was kind of disappointed. I was watching that Tech game this weekend, and they were showing flashes of maybe a competent team. So I was like, maybe the rivalry would be fun again. But then they looked like Tech, and I was like, we're just never going to have a fun rivalry with Georgia Tech. I was at the one game we lost to them in like the past 20 years. I was there in person. I was like, you gotta be
Awesome.
kidding me. Of course I showed up for this at Sanford. It was
Dude,
awful.
I still love that rivalry though. People like, I don't know. I mean, it has gotten out of hand, so I guess it hadn't made it as fun. But like, dude, I still hate Tech
Oh,
so
yeah.
bad.
Nerds. Look at the freaking nerds.
I hate them so bad, dude. Like, I want to beat them 200-0 every single time. they play.
Feel that.
Absolutely.
I want to go to the one this year at Georgia Tech. I don't know if I'm gonna go or not, but
Well, I've been in Bobby Dodd once, and it's not even Bobby Dodd anymore, is it? They changed it, or are they changing
I
it
don't
after
know.
the season?
maybe it's after. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Well,
don't know.
but
I didn't
Anyway,
hear that.
onwards. I can only talk about
Onward.
Tech so much.
Yeah, gives me shivers.
Yeah.
All right, so we got another college football.
Okay.
Got the Clemson upset last night. Go Blue Devils.
Go
Dude.
Devils.
So this is about another upset. It's considered the greatest upset in college football history to some websites. That happened in week 1. What year was Michigan upset when they were
This
number
is-
5?
Thanks for the layup. Yeah.
And who beat them?
That's a
It
good.
was App State, and it was
That's 2007.
7.
Yep.
Yeah, that was it.
I
I was
got
gonna
it.
say 08. It was it
Nah,
was 07.
2007, craziest year of college football that's ever happened. I think
That-
it was
Yeah.
the most upsets, most unranked teams beating top 25s.
Yeah,
That was
it
the
was
year we had
crazy.
that was the year we
Yeah,
had the Boise State Oklahoma Fiesta Bowl.
Yep.
That was the
Yes.
craziest
Yep.
game winner of all time. That was a wild year.
That was
Yeah.
a crazy freaking year of college football, man.
Dude, didn't they run the what, hook and ladder to tie it.
And then in overtime they win it with the Statue of Liberty,
Statue of
which is
Liberty on the
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh
wild.
man, that takes some kahunas right there.
Yeah, if
To run
y'all are
those
watching
plays.
this, have never seen the highlights of that game, do yourself a favor and check that out for sure.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
No
Yeah,
doubt.
okay. Bonus points with that question though. The App State question. What was the score?
Ooh,
Score.
Oh, dang it.
wasn't it? It was. Am I incorrect in saying it was kind of low scoring?
It's like a medium score.
Medium?
like
I really couldn't tell you on that one.
Did one team have 31?
Really, they're both in the 30s. So 31's close, but it's not one of the scores.
Was it like 35, 32 or something like that?
It's
37,
Oh, so close.
37-33.
37, 32?
No. It is 34-32.
I remember
Was it?
seeing that in
Because it
like
was
a
a last
magazine.
second field goal, correct?
Yeah, Michigan went
Yeah.
to kick a field goal to win
Right.
by one, and
That's
it got
right.
blocked.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
And that dude took it and was just running to the house like he was just gone. Which
Yeah.
that guy caught up with him, was trying to strip it, which there was like 1 second left anyway. But I mean, I don't know. I was like, it would happen that he would run and then they would strip it and then have like a last second play up. I just remember it being crazy like that. But
It was pretty wild.
anyways, all right, let's do a little NFL
All right.
now. What 6 NFL teams have 4 or more Super Bowls?
Patriots, Steelers.
Yep.
Did the Cowboys win? They won more than 3, right?
Yeah,
Total?
Cowboys and at the peak, the Dolphins, were they good enough long enough?
No, they have 2.
They
Yeah.
have two. That's what I thought.
Back to back though.
Yeah, back to back.
Packers.
Packers.
How many are left?
Got 2 left.
What about the Bears?
Not the Bears.
Not the Bears.
Not the Bears.
Trying to think of
they might only have 2.
Really? As
I
historically relevant as they've been?
I think they only have 2.
Oh, the 49ers.
49ers, yep.
Yeah, there you go. What about not the Jets?
They haven't won one in a long time.
Yeah,
long
they've only
time.
won
Seven-
1 and
seven.
that was
Yeah,
Yeah.
name it.
That's right. It was just the one.
Oh, we got one more.
Dang, man.
yeah, you're missing 1.
What am I blanking on right now?
Oh, actually, so getting back to the Bears, they only have 1.
Wow.
That's
One
insane
Super
to me,
Bowl.
actually.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they
That's-
have. I'm trying to see how many appearances in the Super Bowl they have. They have 4 Super Bowl appearances.
Only won one of them. That's tough.
Well, nah, really just 2 appearances because 2 of these conference championships is before the merger. So
And for our last team, that's won 4. Have they won one incredibly recently?
not incredibly recently, but
Sorry, not the past 5 years.
not the past 5 years, no.
Okay.
Wouldn't be like the Colts, would it?
Not the Colts. They have 2,
Okay.
I think.
Not the Giants.
Yeah,
the
it's
Oh,
the Giants.
that's it.
okay.
It's the Giants.
Yeah, I was
That's a
like,
good
not the
guess.
Giants. Yeah,
Because they had 2 with Eli.
that's right. That was I was like
And-
they have 2 since I can remember. So I was like,
Yeah.
maybe they got 2 before that.
I think they had 2 in like the 80s.
That
Did
would
they
check
win-
out. I feel like
They
that was
win
like
one
New
with
York.
Lawrence Taylor? No?
I think they won
Yeah.
with Lawrence Taylor.
Early in his career?
Yeah, let me see exactly the years because I know the
Good
2 with
shout.
Eli.
I just
I'm
know that
pretty
like
sure
New
it's
York
80s.
sports had a run of like in the 70s of 80s of just dominance. So I would definitely check out if the Giants won a couple in that run.
Yeah, New York sports, man. I can't stand them honestly. Like I just can't get with the New York sports. Okay, yeah. So they won in 86, 90, and then 07 and 11.
Okay.
Checks out.
That
Definitely
makes
checks
sense.
out.
So yeah, that makes sense. All right. And also Cowboys have 5 Super Bowls, dude. like in our lifetime, the Cowboys have been complete
Awful.
choke artists.
It's
Yeah.
been terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
They have 5 Super Bowls.
when's the last NFC championship they made?
Didn't they make one with like Romo?
I think
I would
so.
imagine. Yeah. Like,
think
and that's been
so.
forever. So,
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was like mid 2000s
yeah, something like that.
I
Maybe
think-
like,
or like
Yeah.
2010.
I was going to say 2010, maybe.
I've
I
got
think
it
that's right.
going right now.
What we got?
Because especially the Cowboys in the past 10 years have been almost just playing
The last-
trash.
In
The last
playoffs,
NFC
yeah.
championship they won was in '95.
And you would think
Yeah.
they won it last year.
Yeah. I wonder if
The
they won
Cowboys
it.
get coverage just as about as bad as the New York teams or LA. It's like when the
America.
Lakers.
America's
Lake-
team.
Yeah, like still, how are they still America's team? In what
They're
way?
not. They're not.
They win the division. I mean, they have. Let's see. In the past, since
They're
we've
all-
been born, they've had 6 division championships. Like they've won their division 6 times since we've
They're
been
always
alive.
respectable in the regular season.
Oh
Always.
yeah, regular season champs.
Yeah.
That's how.
Yeah,
I
they'll
imagine.
go. They'll win 10 games at least, like almost every time, and
Yeah.
then get blown out in the first game.
First round exit guaranteed. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
Oh man. All right. Now this question I came up with in my head, and this one is going to be tough. This is the tough one.
Okay, I like that.
All right.
But actually the inspiration, I'll tell you after the question, but it just got my mind racing. I created it.
I like
So,
that. The mastermind.
all right.
Yes, sir.
What players in NFL history have 10,000 plus rushing yards and also won the Heisman Trophy?
Whoa.
So we've got
Oh,
6 players.
Is Archie Griffin one of them?
Archie Griffin's not one.
that's tough.
Good callback.
Eddie George. He didn't
Eddie
have-
George is one.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
Eddie George. Barry Sanders.
State.
Did he play long enough to get to 10,000?
Barry Sanders is top
Barry.
5.
Yeah,
in
Barry Sanders. I figured.
yards.
Yeah.
All right. So there's 2 of them. What about? Because you're really thinking here, like when running backs played long enough to get to 10,000, so we need to look at kind of
Yeah.
consider that. I'm thinking.
Mark Ingram doesn't have 10,000 rushing yards, does he?
Nah, Mark Ingram doesn't.
I mean, he played for a long time.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
good guess because, like, I mean, they have to win the Heisman. That's like
Yeah.
the
So I'm
Bottom
trying to
of
just
this
think
question.
of Heisman running backs now. Obviously Herschel didn't have 10,000 in the
No.
NFL.
No. What about? Who am I thinking of right now? I want to say Ricky.
Did Bo Jackson?
no. I
He
think
didn't play long enough.
injuries. Yeah, the injuries
Yeah.
derailed him and
That's right.
played baseball, and
Well,
Ah,
I think he
man.
just ran out of juice.
who else won a Heisman? I'm
You said
like,
there's 5 of them.
There's 6 total. Y'all have 2 right now.
is Jim Brown one of them?
I was gonna say Jim Brown.
No,
But Jim Brown. He didn't
no,
win a
dude.
Heisman.
I thought he won a Heisman.
Oh, that's
I don't know
right.
why.
Because Ernie Davis won it the year after that.
Jim Brown didn't win a Heisman. I kept wanting to say him.
Yeah. Dang it. What other running backs? Reggie Bush. Even though
Reggie
he's got
Bush.
stripped. Dang it.
Yeah.
He's a
Dang it.
Heisman winner. Let's just call it what it is. He's
Yeah,
a Heisman
I mean,
winner.
100%.
yeah, I give him the Heisman in my.
I'm trying to. God, who even has 10,000 yard rushing seasons?
I mean, Emmitt Smith didn't win a Heisman. So
No.
Did Adrian Peterson win a Heisman?
No, he was a runner up, I think,
No,
at least once. But I thought he did, but I was like,
I
I
didn't.
don't know what I was believing.
I didn't really think he did because I only remember him from the NFL. So, what about?
So we have what, 2, 3?
Yeah, 2 out of 6.
2. Dang.
And I've got the teams that they played for in college.
Okay.
Give me a
hint.
college team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
give me a
All
team
right.
or 2.
Okay. Out of the ones we got left, there's 3 different teams. We
Okay.
got Pitt, USC, Texas.
Is Texas Ricky Williams.
Ricky Williams,
Yeah,
yes.
that's one of them.
Yeah.
I love some Ricky Williams. All
I
right.
love Ricky Williams.
I'm whiffing hard, dude. I got nothing.
I know.
So, I mean, if the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit.
Duh. Yeah, he was a killer on the field.
Yeah, a killer on and off the field.
Yeah.
He said he's still looking for the killer. I mean,
yeah, okay. He's looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
All right, so we got the juice.
Yeah,
Juice. OJ.
That was I can't believe I knew that mother. Guy
from Pitt, played for the Cowboys, is Tony Dorsett.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
Dang.
And the other guy from USC who played for the Raiders is Marcus Allen.
Oh my man!
Marcus
I didn't even think about Marcus Allen,
who had ties to OJ.
Yeah, that's right.
This is true.
Yeah. So dude, I came up with that question. That was the first one I came up with of the 5 I have.
That was difficult. That was really difficult.
I thought it would be a hard question that you could get some answers, but it'd be tough. So
it was a humbling experience.
Oh, we got one last question.
Okay, one more. All right, let's go.
You're gonna love it. It's Atlanta Falcons.
Give it to me.
All right.
Who is the all-time leader in rushing touchdowns for the Falcons?
Michael Turner.
Skilly.
Michael Turner. I was gonna say Michael Turner. Yeah, the dude knew how to score from the goal line. Those legs weren't getting stopped. You kidding me?
3 chunk legs, baby.
Dude, he had to have been 5'8", 250.
Minimum, absolute minimum.
Huge legs.
200 of it was the legs. Yeah,
he had 60 rushing touchdowns. Yeah,
wow,
60
for the Falcons.
I wonder who's our. Can I get a research on who's the next highest?
Dude, I had it in my head.
Because I'd be interested to know, like, actively how close some of these players are. Because that seems 60 is a lot.
I'm gonna guess Warwick Dunn.
Warwick Dunn, it's probably a good one. And then
give your guess. Give your guess, Brody.
If it's not Warwick Dunn, it's nobody recent. Like nobody's got to be close. I would say. I don't know. I'll actually go Devontae Freeman.
Oh, that's probably actually it. It probably is Devontae Freeman.
Brody is actually closest, but next highest with 48 is Gerald Riggs. Never heard of it.
Whoever Gerald Riggs is.
If that dude didn't play with leather helmets, I don't know when he played. Gerald Riggs was a blue-collar Ford assembly line worker who got called in by the Falcons probably during a labor strike. Are you kidding me? Who is Gerald Riggs?
Dude, he played from 82 to 88.
That had to be some strike seasons or something.
And he is the all-time leading rusher for the Falcons.
I've never heard of this guy.
Gerald Riggs.
Gerald? That's absurd to me. All right. All right. Oh, God. I'm going to use that to wrap up trivia. And Chandler, we're going to keep you on this week.
Surprise.
So don't get excited. We're going to see you around for a couple more minutes because we're going to talk about something I know is near and dear to you. Coming out of the Classic City, we have Georgia football. We're going to do a little rundown every week of the Dogs. And we figured who better to have on the show to talk some Georgia football than you, Chandler.
Yeah.
I want to get your thoughts of, kind of this off season leading up to this game, what you saw this weekend. What do you like? What do you not like? To talk to me.
I mean, great turnout. Fans are never gonna, sway from.
There's never a bad game to go and watch the Dogs. It's always a good environment.
I mean, even away games, they're gonna travel. Like, I'm not worried about our fans ever giving up on the team. I worry about Bobo, man.
Okay. So talk to me about what you saw that makes you worry about Bobo.
I just don't think I don't know if he can use what we have to win us games. Like, defense is going to win us games. I feel like.
Absolutely.
We're not.
Defense is nothing to worry about. So I wanted to say this is a word that came up in our little group chat during the game. Vanilla came out about the offense. And I
Very
want to
vanilla.
say, let's hold off judgment there because we are playing a very non-relevant opponent in that game, and
True.
football is a war of attrition. It is not a single day battle. It's a siege. It's months of warfare, and you don't want to show your hand too soon. So I think because Bobo is a guy that's been around for a long time, so there's a lot of film on his offenses. So if he has adapted to these Georgia players, because I'm also kind of concerned about that as well. It's like, how do we feed the hands that we have and how do we
Yeah,
utilize them, especially in a year where we don't have as strong as a rushing attack?
that's
That
my
that was
worry.
that was evident. That was my worry personally. Out the play calling, I'm not really too concerned about simply because the opponent, whatever. Don't want to put too much film out. We're probably just rehearsing base sets still. We don't. It's not like they get a scrimmage.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I do want to say on that really quickly though, and me and Chandler actually kind of discussed this weekend. The only argument I would make against that, Brody, is that we do. I know it was years ago and he's gone and come back and
yeah,
things are a
I
little
understand.
different, but we do have lots of film of him having the most vanilla run
Vanilla.
game.
Yeah.
And it's specifically the run game because I actually think Bobo is a pretty creative pass caller. I mean, pass play
I've
caller.
always really enjoyed. He calls a very good pro style offense, which is what
Yeah.
leads to that vanilla run. And I
And he
think he
made
used to
Aaron
get away with it.
Murray. Yeah, and he made Aaron Murray the all-time leading
Yeah,
passer in the SEC. So, like, obviously,
Yeah.
he knows how to throw the football. But if he doesn't have Todd Gurley or Nick Chubb or that caliber of running back, we've seen his
yeah.
run game get stopped
Because
over and over.
Yeah.
with
Because
those
Kendall Milton,
players, no, Kendall
dude,
Milton,
he's not it. Like
he's a talented guy, but he's not what we're used to. You know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
he's a 6.5, 7 out of 10. Like he's
Very
above
generous.
average, but
Yeah,
that's about it. I mean,
He looked
yeah.
so good as a freshman, though. Dang.
I
God,
know,
those flashes were
I
insane. You
know.
thought we had something special, but that's every Georgia running back. They get in there, they're fresh and they're hype, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And the thing about the passing is do we have a quarterback that's going to do that?
That was my next point. What is our thoughts on the
We have
Beck
two. We have
experience?
two of them. They're just sitting behind Carson.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Carson Beck, man. This dude looks like a Beavis and Butthead character just out there. I just I don't like the way he approaches the game. Very nonchalant, very just
Yeah.
I didn't like in some senses, like especially in like short down situations, like we're very slow around the ball. And that's the quarterback. So I don't know. I'm not sold.
I'm not either, and I tried to like build him up in my mind during the off season. Like, he's a highly touted recruit. People forget that, but I just don't know if he's had enough playing time. He, like you said, he's nonchalant, like all the time, and
All the
I
time.
don't. I
Which
mean,
is
I don't know.
it's not a bad personality to have, especially outside of the lines, because it keeps you very even strong. But when you don't have that switch, and it's very evident, especially at a high level, that you don't have that switch, and I'm watching it on TV and like nothing changes about your demeanor when the helmet goes on, that's just a
Yeah.
non-competitor. And to win 3 national championships in a row, you have to have 11 competitors on the field at all times.
Is it
Yeah.
fair to say that Carson Beck is Grayson Lamberty? Is that fair to say?
That's
I
a
would
pretty good comparison.
Very good comparison. Very highly
mean,
touted recruit.
He
Just
broke
very
broke the
average
completion record for us, but where did he take us?
Nowhere.
to the most
Like 9
average
and 3.
season.
He
I believe
he actually broke Bobo's record though, didn't he?
he
Was it
did. He went.
Bobo's?
I went
Yeah.
like didn't he go like 24 and 25, something like that? It was something
Yeah, it's-
Yeah, I think
insane.
it's like
Crazy.
96% or
I
something.
want to say, wasn't that the season where Mark Rick retired or resigned from Georgia?
I think it was like
Then or the
2015.
year after, maybe.
Yeah. So if that tells you anything about how bad Grayson Lambert was,
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Yeah.
I personally, from what I saw around football, and I don't like to jump, especially super early in the season. I have no reason to believe that Georgia won't win the national championship again if we sure up very easy things to fix. When your depth is as good as ours is, and you can plug in certain pieces and try new things, I think you're allowed to succeed in a lot of ways that other teams aren't. But I'm with y'all, and like we said about going back to Bobo prior, we have seen that when it comes down to it, and especially in like clutch moments and drives that need to be put together with not a lot of time, it's not good. So I'm kind of worried about when we come into that first game of the season. That's a little tight.
Yeah, like who we got? We got Ball State this weekend. I mean,
I hate
that's
that
going
too.
to be
I
another
hate,
scrimmage.
I hate
Yeah,
these
yeah.
weak schedules. I hate these weak schedules that do not prepare you for big games.
No, no. And then South Carolina after that, and then back to UAB. And
Yeah,
like
like three
going into
pushovers.
SEC, yeah, like going into SEC. I mean, technically, I mean South Carolina is SEC, but like going back to back to back SEC play, we have UAB. Right, I hate that.
Yeah.
I mean, give us one game where we really have to have a test. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
Which next year we're gonna have what? Alabama, Clemson,
yeah. Next year's
Texas.
legit.
Next year's it's going to be a real test, so nobody can have that cupcake schedule excuse, whatever. But I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know.
Or
I mean,
the
it is a weird
perfect
schedule.
right. And I think it also creates kind of the perfect trap game scenario, which Georgia
Yes,
before Kirby Smart was very prone to do for sure.
Yeah, they
especially
about had
against
one
South
last year.
Carolina.
Yeah. And they've come close under Kirby quite a few times actually. So
Last year at Missouri, dude,
that was
Very
bad.
stressful.
That was
Very
bad.
stressful.
That
Yeah.
was bad.
very bad. I mean, I think the weather like kind of not great, but
I mean, yeah,
still,
but regardless, it's kind of that deal where, especially because as a culture we've shown it, I'm really concerned because I think with the landscape of football this year, a lot of teams are going to be in that playoff picture. So it's not going to take too many slip ups to really set you out of it. So
yeah, dude. This
Yeah.
year, there's if they had an 18 playoff this year, I think it might be really good.
it would be
Yeah.
interesting.
It would be
Very
great.
interesting. Yeah.
I mean, Florida State looked very good.
They looked a lot better than they have. You
They
know,
They
did.
looked very good. I don't know about Michigan yet. I mean, they had a like pushover game, but they'll probably be okay.
I wasn't impressed by
I,
Ohio State.
no, I think there's
Mm,
there's working out kinks too. I mean,
yeah.
a lot
I
of these
don't.
teams that are normally up there, like week one, they're putting on a dominant performance. They did not look like they normally do.
No,
Yeah.
there wasn't. Other than Oklahoma putting up the 77
Yeah,
ball on Arkansas State, making champion of life Butch Jones cry. That was a tough scene. I don't know if y'all caught
Yeah.
that. That was tough to
yeah,
watch.
yeah. That one that was rough.
That was
Yeah,
rough.
I mean, what I think AP poll came out. It's Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, Florida State, top four now, and then we got Ohio State looking in, USC, Penn State, I think.
Yeah, they were
Penn
somewhere
State's
right up
always up
there.
there. They're always respectable.
Yeah.
What's y'all's actually, since we just said it, what I want to get y'all's thoughts on USC. Like, do y'all think they're real? Do y'all think they'll be contenders, or is it kind of the same old story where they're talented and they're flashy, and then they lose 3 games and we don't care about them?
They're gonna put up 40 points, but
Yeah, great
they're
offense.
also gonna give up 60.
Right.
Exactly. No defense. Yep.
I mean, Caleb Williams is gonna throw for an ungodly amount of yards this year
It's
because
true.
they're gonna have to
Yeah.
pass
Yeah.
every possession
Yeah.
like crazy to stay in the game. And I mean, do we think he wins back-to-back Heisman's this year just because their team is gonna have to
Gonna
put up
Archie
offensive
gonna
numbers?
Archie Griffin it?
Yeah, he could Archie Griffin it.
So I think in order for him to go back to back, he would have to have a genuinely absurd season this year to
Yeah.
follow up his one last year, which is not out of the question. Like we said, he's going to have the opportunity to do it. But me and Skylar talked about it earlier in the show. I think the Heisman right now is Travis Hunter's to lose.
Could
Yeah.
be. It could
Yeah,
be.
I mean, if he keeps playing two ways,
If this man
hard.
averages, which I know he's not going to have multiple interceptions per game, that's just absolutely absurd. But if he gets an interception once every couple games and keeps getting either a 100-yard receiving game or a touchdown on the games where he doesn't have a lot of yards, I almost don't see how you don't give it to him.
Well, the thing is, just like every other award now, to me, anyway, this is like my personal opinion. It's not endorsed by the entire Lunch Table Pod, but this is me. Every award now is a popularity contest to me.
I'll stamp that. I will stamp that.
That's true.
It's why I hate the NFL MVP award. It's
Yeah.
who's the best quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
The term most valuable player means nothing anymore. And it's the same thing with the Heisman.
The
Yeah.
Heisman is supposed to be like the best college player,
The best performance in that
the
season.
best performance in that season. And
Yeah.
if you got a guy playing two ways at a Power 5 school,
At an elite level on both
at
sides
an
of the
elite
ball.
level on both
Exactly.
sides, he has to be the best player. I mean, he's playing
Yeah.
offense and defense. He's playing.
Defense.
How
And
many snaps did he play? He's playing.
It was at least
120
100.
snaps.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it was
like
120, I believe.
125
A
or something
game?
like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how sustainable that is, but if he does sustain it, like, you have to give it to him.
Yeah.
I
That's
agree.
insane.
Agreed.
I think
Agreed.
Caleb Williams would have to have, if Travis Hunter replicates his performance from week one somewhat every single week following this, maybe one or two down games, Caleb Williams would probably have to have the best season a quarterback has ever had.
Have to go
Yeah,
over
you have to break.
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, over
Yeah.
2019 Joe Burrow, like the greatest
Pretty
thing we've
much.
ever seen from a college quarterback. I think that's what it would take.
He would have to break a record or two. Like, he would have to break yardage and touchdowns for you to be like, okay.
Yeah.
Agreed. Well, now that we've kind of strayed away from the topic, I guess that's a pretty good place to go ahead and end it. Also, considering the fact that Zoom is telling me that we only have 2 minutes left to talk before we are cut off. So,
in that case, the college football's back and we're excited. We can't.
Amen.
Chandler, thank you so much for coming on this week. It's a pleasure to have you on every single week, dude. We appreciate your presence.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate the knowledge. We appreciate the buying games. We hope you want to become a regular for the dog talk at the end of the show. So just let us know. And like we said, we appreciate you, brother.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate being on, man. It's always a good time.
Absolutely.
All right, buddy. We'll see you next week, Chandler. Appreciate it, man.
All right. See y'all.
It's that time, brother. It's that time. It's the end of the show. We kind of reorganized things a little bit the day. We figured, you know what? We're so juiced about college football. We're going to talk about it the whole show. Yep. We wanted to get it out of the way. We had Chandler on. We were excited about that. So we moved the top five to the end. We figured, let's close it down with our little top five action. And this one's very relevant. We came up with the top five for this week, and we're going to go with our favorite college football players of all time. Yes, remember these, when we say favorite, we do mean personal favorites, not like season stat wise. Obviously, some of these guys are going to be the guys with big seasons, but they're not ranked in accordance to their greatness. So I believe I'm going to let you start this week's off, and because I'm really interested to hear the guys that you're attached to.
Yeah, let's do it. So I'll kick off my 5 through 2. My number 5 is Johnny Manziel.
Yes, sir.
And I'm just telling you, Johnny Football, we as a friend group rallied behind him.
Dude, we were all on that. We were busting out the Money Manziel celebrations and everything we did. Like,
I
remember I'd make a pancake block and I would do the Money Manziel. Like, it was everywhere. It was awesome.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Great era for college football. Sad, obviously, what happened to his NFL career, but so fun to watch in college.
Dude, that Untold documentary on Johnny Football, it made me realize that he was exactly who I thought he was.
Yep. Yeah, that's actually a great way to describe it.
Yep.
All right, so we'll move into my number 4. And I'm pretty sure that I mentioned this in one of the early episodes that I watched this player's team only to watch this player because I actually have hated this team ever since a legendary coach has been in charge there. And that's Devontae Smith.
Yep.
Devontae Smith is definitely one of my all-time favorite players.
Electric.
I mean, he was just awesome. Like his route running, explosiveness, sure hands, like just playmaking ability. The dude was one of the most fun receivers I've ever watched in college and had one of the best seasons for a receiver that I've ever watched as well.
By far.
Yep. So my number 3, and I tried, by the way, before I get into my top 2 before my number 1, I do want to say that I tried to make this not super Georgia heavy.
Yeah, it was hard.
It was very hard
I was
not to
able to
do
only do
that.
one in mine, so
Yeah. So, all right, cool. Props to me for getting two then.
yeah.
But my number three is Alec Ogletree.
Oh,
And
great pick.
I alluded to this when we did our favorite athletes. He was one of my honorable mentions, and I loved Alec Ogletree, man. I mean, I thought he was the heart of that defense. He was the guts of that defense. I mean, a lot of the guys had, they had some big
Yeah,
swinging balls on them. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely. Yeah,
But Alec Ogletree, I feel
he
like
was him.
he was the
He was
one.
him. Yeah,
So I love me some Alec Ogletree. And then my number two is another Georgia player, my favorite Georgia wide receiver of all time, and forever in college, probably NFL career. I would say the other guy leans probably more, but in college, I will forever argue he was better than Julio Jones, and that's AJ Green.
absolutely. Yeah.
AJ Green, like we talked about, man. I'm not going to touch on it too much because we talked about him last week, but the circus catches, the range, the catching range,
Yeah.
and what can you say about AJ Green?
He to me, at college, AJ Green always felt like a modern Randy Moss.
Yeah.
And that's why I always loved him because I'm a huge Randy Moss fan.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
love that.
Yeah, and he was underrated too in the NFL. Not that this is a college football segment, but I do feel like AJ was underrated in the NFL because of Andy Dalton.
Yeah, and he put up numbers with very inconsistent quarterback play for a long time, and really, I think that a big reason underrated is that the end of his season he was hurt or end of his career is hurt so many seasons that we didn't really ever get to see him go out on that high note.
True, that's true. That's true.
But yeah, dude, I love that top four. So
yeah, man.
I'll get going.
Let's do it.
So we got a couple. I was surprised to not hear this one listed. I'm sure you'll have them in the honorable mentions. Maybe you won't actually, but I've got Joe Burrow at number 5. I was actually at the Peach Bowl where he absolutely shredded Oklahoma for 60-something points, the most passing yards in a playoff game. To watch that in person live, it was honestly absurd. The plays he could make just from all over the field, it was electric. I love Joe Burrow. I love him now. Just the player and the attitude, when they marry each other so perfectly, I'm always a fan of that. So I'm a big Joe Breezy fan.
Yeah.
At number 4, I'm not going to talk about him too much because you mentioned him, but I got Money Manziel. Like you said, just that season and that era, for our friend group to follow that so closely, it was so much fun to be a part of, and I was really glad to have him around. The Money Manziel celebration will always be something like that is so cool to me.
Always.
And at number 3, somebody I'm really surprised you did not have in your top 5, and I will be shocked if he's not an honorable mention for you. Dude, Tavon Austin.
Oh, I do love me some Tavon Austin.
I'm like, especially before I started to really appreciate all aspects of football. He was one of the true guys that I appreciated the skill of what a guy can do with the ball. And those I still will just watch his highlight reels because they're so electric. The slow steps down the sideline will forever be the most swag move you could ever do going in the end zone.
Yeah.
And then number 2, kind of a controversial player for both his college and NFL career, but I think this guy, and I think it's arguably one of the top 10 seasons ever put up by a player as well. But Ndamukong Suh, man, he was a force, especially playing lineman. I looked up to this guy. Obviously there was some stuff that he did on the field that you're not supposed to look up to, but when he was playing his game, he was absolutely unstoppable. I really do think he could have been probably better than Aaron Donald if he had the right headspace about him. Because those seasons he had in college, he was completely unstoppable. I remember just multiple times him being triple teamed and blowing it up. So yeah, I was a big Suh fan at the time, and then he got in the NFL and started stomping on people, and I was like, oh, not a good look.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, like I said, I love Suh. I mean, he's super talented enough to be unreal. Right there with Aaron Donald.
No. Of course, we're about to go right at the same time.
Yeah, right at the same time.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm honestly excited to hear your honorable mentions. This is where I had a problem not doing Georgia players because I felt like I could have gone on forever.
Oh, yeah. I could have mentioned 100 of them.
Exactly. So I made sure to only throw in the couple that I really had to throw in.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to hear who do you have? Throw me some honorable mentions.
So I've actually only got one Georgia player in my honorable mentions.
Okay.
I was able to knock it down to just one, and that's going to be my childhood favorite player, David Pollock. I was a
Nice.
huge David Pollock fan. He was a great defensive end, a very had the juice, that kind of guy.
Oh yeah, absolutely, big juice guy.
Exactly.
David Pollock too. Just he's a great analyst too. I love watching him on TV on game day. It's been
Oh
really,
yeah.
especially when a guy
Well,
you're a fan of.
RIP to him on
Yeah,
game
well,
day, but
yeah. But with the guy you're a fan of, to be able to watch him like continue their career is always really cool. So I like that
yeah.
pick.
Yeah, that's for sure. Next one I had on the list was a guy that I feel like a lot of people hate. And I don't really, I guess I understand that he had like a little bit of a cloudy past, but that would be Cam Newton.
He's on mine. He's
I
right there in mine.
love me some Cam Newton, man. I mean, he
I
had,
definitely. I think a lot of the hate, especially from around us, would just be for the fact that he played for Auburn and like had
yeah,
so much of the controversy. But if you were a football fan, God,
yeah. I mean, I think he had probably the second greatest. Maybe this is debatable, but probably the second greatest in our lifetime season for a quarterback behind
yeah,
Joe Burrow.
I would agree with that. He absolutely carried that team the
Yeah,
entire year, like all
exactly.
year by himself.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it was super Cam.
Yep, super Cam. Nothing more needs to be said.
Oh.
So the next guy I had on the list, I got to shout out Tanya, who happens to be the world's largest. My mom, for people that might not know that, I'm pretty sure everyone watching knows.
Yeah,
that,
I was about to say, I'm sure our user base knows. Come on.
Shout out to Tanya for being this guy's biggest fan in the entire world, and that's Tim Tebow.
That checks out.
Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow is everybody's mom's favorite player. Come on.
Yeah.
Now.
He's a godly man, but
Plays the game the right way.
On a real note, though, he was super exciting, man. I mean, he was awesome at Florida. What more can you say? I mean, some of it had to do with some of the weapons who may or may not have one of his weapons on my list, on my honorable mentions coming up next.
Wow.
But anyways, he was just one of the greatest college football's ever seen for sure, and there's no denying that.
Absolutely.
So, speaking of my second to last, I know we have a lot this week, but it was really hard.
It was
guys.
hard.
Give us a break.
So hard. Yeah.
A second to last honorable mention is Tim Tebow's teammate, and that's Percy Harvin.
Dude, Percy Harvin was electric in college.
I feel like Percy Harvin was like Tavon Austin before Tavon Austin.
He genuinely was. He kind of created that style of play for that modern era, smaller receiver.
Yeah. But Percy's strides, though, were way longer than Tavon Austin's.
Yeah.
Like that dude had some long legs, man. Long legs.
That's a good pick.
Yep. And then my last one, speaking of guys that got triple teamed and nobody could do anything about it no matter what they did, that would be Jadeveon Clowney from South Carolina.
That hit in that Michigan game sends chills to my spine to this day. To this day, the hardest hit I've ever seen. Absolutely unreal. That's a good pick.
Yeah. So that's going to round out my honorable mentions. I'm very excited to hear yours, though.
So I'm going to keep it kind of short and sweet on the ones that you've already mentioned. So I have Cam Newton and Tim Tebow in there for the reasons you mentioned. Just so exciting to watch.
Yeah.
AJ Green made my honorable mentions. We've talked about AJ Green so many times on this podcast, so we got to get him on here at some point.
I know. Come on, AJ.
And then this one I actually talked about on this podcast earlier, but I want to kind of dive into it now. But this one, it doesn't get talked about enough, is Melvin Gordon. That 2014 season he had at Wisconsin, I think he had like 2,300 rushing yards. He was a dominant force in college. And I remember the comparisons he had coming in the league were like the next great thing. And he had a very good NFL career. It's not easy to be like a Hall of Famer by any means.
Yeah.
But I just remember that one season in 2014. I personally thought he was going to be the next Barry Sanders. Like he was running through people, around people, like juke moves, everything. He was the complete running back. He was awesome to watch.
I like that.
And then two guys we've also talked about on this podcast that I was huge fans of growing up: Todd Gurley and Noshawn Marino. They never, to me, both of them, you can say that neither one of them had one of those seasons that stands out by itself. But their careers and bodies of work are so impressive, and they put up so many highlight plays. You can always count on seeing them on SportsCenter. I think that's why I fell in love with them, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna kind of go for my last one here. Just I really cut myself off. Like I had so many guys that were like honorable mention, like guys I really love to watch. So I
Yep.
kind of kept it short. And then another dog. It was hard for me not to throw one more dog in here. But kind of what you mentioned, just a defensive guy that was like always in the mix, always making a play. Had a great NFL career. I got Leonard Floyd, man. I was a
Ooh.
massive Leonard Floyd fan. This guy for 3 straight years, it felt like, was making every tackle inside of the box, sacks, stopping the run, could play in coverage. His arms seemed like they hung to the ground. Like nothing was ever getting around him. I used to love watching him play defense, man.
Yeah, I love that pick right there. Leonard Floyd
Yeah,
was
and
super exciting.
I could go on a while. I was gonna mention Devontae Smith. I was gonna mention I was gonna even mention Jalen Hurts. That his whole arc and career to me is just so
Very
incredibly inspirational.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just stuff like that. And then there's so many. There's so many guys that are easy to be fans of right now. Like I think when it's said and done, Travis Hunter would probably go in my favorite players I've ever watched if he continues the season he's having. Which I don't want to talk about him too much. I feel like we've done that for half the podcast.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
God, it's just a really good time to be a fan of college football, especially. I think. Actually, let me get your thoughts on this because we've had a week to see it. I think the transfer portal and the NIL will end up being the best things that have happened for college football in a while. I think talent's going to even out. We're going to see these programs kind of return to relevance that haven't been able to in a long time.
Yeah, I think that's definitely possible. I think that's the good result. I think there's probably a good result and a bad result. Either one is
Always,
possible. But I feel like it is heading in that direction right now. So I can pretty much concur with what everything you just said.
yeah. But guys, we realized today that we could talk about football for a long time. But
Yeah.
we're gonna cut ourselves off because we know we got a long season ahead of us. We got many more episodes to record.
Well,
Uh,
Brody, hate to do this to you.
oh, we got to. I did. I pulled a U. I pulled a U. Oh, that's one week.
Oh, I wasn't the
Wow.
only one.
All right. I'm gonna say that I did that to make Skylar feel better. So I'm gonna once again reel it all back in. We are gonna do our number one favorite college athletes of all time.
Yep.
Wow. Let me reassess where I'm at mentally. I'm gonna hand this one off to Skylar. Skylar, who is your favorite college athlete ever?
So somebody that you just mentioned towards the end of your honorable mentions, somebody I've talked about a lot of times before on the podcast, and that's Todd Gurley.
Yep.
Man, I love Todd Gurley. He was my favorite NFL player besides Tom Brady when he was in the NFL. He was my favorite Georgia player from that first game that I ever watched him play. And I love me some Todd Gurley, man. I mean,
Absolutely.
the stats speak for themselves. And if
Yeah.
you go back and watch his highlights, if you haven't in a while, I mean, he was awesome,
It
man.
was unreal. I just, I remember being so devastated when the Falcons did not pick up Todd Gurley in that
Todd Gurley.
draft.
I
I
know.
just knew we needed a running back. I just knew we would do it. And we didn't do it. And I just,
Didn't do it.
same thing with Jalen Carter this year, which I'm not mad about Bijan, but just tough. All right. But great pick at number one. I love me some TG3. I think it'll be a while before I ever like a college running back like that again. So I'm interested to see who ends up breaking that seal.
Yeah.
But in that realm, for my number one, it's the two guys that love some Georgia football here. I've got Matt Stafford as my favorite college football player of all time. I've
Love
mentioned him
it.
so many times. Same thing with Kyle and Todd Gurley. Just one of those guys that you can't not love, especially like at the time. I just remember I followed him forever for every reason I mentioned whenever I mentioned my favorite athletes of all time. The
Yep.
guy is gutsy. He's a star, and he's to me the hardest working quarterback on the field I've ever seen. I think Tom Brady's got the best work ethic of all time outside of and on kind of combined. But the things that Matthew Stafford would do in these comeback drives for Georgia and Detroit, I mean, his body just completely shattered, but he would not come off the field. I
Yeah.
think that really inspired me in kind of the way I would play too. So he's always just been my favorite.
Yeah. I love that pick, man. I mean, the definition of like grab your lunch pail and get to work. No
Show
matter
up,
what's
like,
going on with you, you show up, you do your job, you go home. Like
yep.
that's always been his mentality. I love Matt Stafford. Honestly, if I'd have thought about it, I probably would have replaced someone in my honorable mentions with Stafford because I mean, awesome in college, man. And he had us at number one, even though we didn't get the job done. He gave us the most hope out of
The
any
most hope we
quarterback.
had at any point, and I remember I thought because of Matt Stafford we were going to win a national championship. Like I
Yeah.
believed in him so much.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I think a lot of us did.
Oh yeah.
So now
All right.
we can start to
Well,
close out the show.
ladies and gentlemen, all right. So this is now going to be called the Jump the Gun Pod, where we jump the gun and wrap up way too soon. But in all honesty, I hope y'all enjoyed this week's episode. It was really fun to record. I know I say that every week, but they're all really fun to record.
They are. They are. It's kind of
yeah.
like how we say every week that we're going to get better about telling people to like, comment, and subscribe. And then we never do.
We just never do.
We just never do.
If y'all could like, comment, subscribe. To me, the biggest thing, y'all comment. I love it when y'all comment and just mention, stuff about the show. And I will say, speaking about y'all's comments, I had somebody reach out to me, fan of the pod, and he mentioned that y'all would like some short clips, kind of, segments of the podcast posted as reels and stuff for when you don't have an hour 15 to watch the whole thing. Maybe you're just interested in a certain segment. We are going to try and start doing that. So don't worry. We'll get some little clips going out. I was kind of hounded about that, and I'm sorry. But okay, we'll be better. I promise.
Yeah, we will. We'll do better. Gosh,
yeah, sorry. But for real, ladies and gentlemen, it's been another great week at the table. Skylar, another great week. I can't wait to get into next week, guys. Just be ready for next week's episode. We're gonna have fantasy. It's getting started. We're gonna have more college. We'll have the NFL to talk about. We're gonna need 2 hours, man. We're gonna have to bust out a bigger window of time.
Yeah, well, I do want to tell everyone who's listening to also be on the lookout for some shorter stuff because we are definitely about to start putting out more shorter content, kind of like that draft grades video that I did.
We have a couple of ideas for like fantasy games of the week inside of our leagues, and then just some other stuff that we're going to experiment with. So y'all kind of stay tuned. It's not just going to be a podcast, to say the least.
No, we're gonna get funky with this. We're gonna have fun, and we're gonna do, really whatever we want and whatever you guys that comment want every week. So I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, no matter what.
Absolutely. Well, Skylar, it's been an honor.
Yes,
sir.
And
I'll see you next week at the table, brother.
Yes, sir. See you next week at the table, everybody. Thanks for sitting at the lunch table.
Till then.